Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, we're going to teach you how to make risotto. Did anyone request this? I was too lazy to look it up. I'm holding my arms over here to put the names of the people if there were people. There might have been, there might not have been. 50% chance that there was or wasn't. Risotto is Italian cheesy rice. And when you put it that way, it doesn't sound very good. Or exciting for that matter. And part of why we've never made this on the show before is that I feel pretty ambivalent about this dish. It's kind of like mac and cheese, but you have no macaroni. Which is a problem that in Italy nobody ever had, right? But at any rate, you know, it's kind of like a creamy rice dish. So I'm going to teach you how to make that today. I don't really know how to make it per se. I'm going to be kind of bumbling through it as normal. Also, if you are the kind of person who feels that there is a lot of precision in this dish, or that there's only one right way to make this dish, this is not the video for you. So what I'll be making tonight, you know, I hope it comes out like risotto. That's my objective. Tonight I have, I'm drinking bourbon and tea. Here it is on camera. Okay, we will start by getting some stuff prepped. So I have two pots. I have a Dutch oven, and I just have a regular old pot on the side. And we will start with our secondary pot by heating up some chicken stock. And part of why today's risotto will taste nice is that I am using chicken stock that I made and canned. I canned this with Jimbo. We had a canning party. Took all day, it was fun. This chicken stock is made exclusively with chicken parts from farm-raised chickens. So it's very high quality. So this is a quart, and we might need a second one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pop open a second one and get that heated up. And if we don't use all of it, you know, I'll use it for something else. And you basically just get that simmering on the side. All right, now over here, we're gonna mince a shallot. And this is optional, and it also doesn't have to be a shallot. You could very easily just use an onion, but really, like basically any kind of allium will be a nice addition to this savory, cheesy rice. All right, so we are going to finely mince that, and you can use your preferred way of doing that. There's a few ingredients in this where we'll cook it to bring out some of the flavors, but ultimately we kind of hope that it melts into the dish. You're just trying to get some of the delicious shallot flavor into the rice, and also into the cheese, lest we forget that this is cheese and rice. Okay, let's get that Dutch oven heated up. Kind of a medium-ish heat with a big glug of olive oil. Don't hold back on the olive oil here. We might even add more olive oil. So let's get those shallots sizzling. One of my favorite parts, I was gonna tell this story later, but I'll just tell it now because I'm thinking about it and I might forget it. One of my favorite parts of making risotto from a prep standpoint at the restaurant was we were supposed to go to the bar and just find what looked like the most empty bottle of wine from the bar and use that to make the risotto, but you know, we never did. We just would grab a bottle of wine and drink some of it. Did that happen? Fact or fiction? I don't know. Maybe you can decide. Okay, while these are sizzling away, we're gonna work on our mushies. So we are making a mushroom risotto today, and we'll be using shiitakes. I went through and stemmed them. So here's the stems. You can save those for some other purpose, doesn't really matter. But basically, we're gonna slice these mushrooms into bite-sized pieces. You could leave them whole if you like. I personally do not favor really, really big pieces of mushroom. And the way that we're cooking them today, I think it'll be nice to have, you know, slices. We are going to cook our mushrooms early with the idea that it will release some of its nice savory flavor into the risotto. And if you don't like mushrooms, you could totally skip this. You don't gotta put mushrooms in this. Somehow we already got a couple of shallots that they didn't burn, but they crisp up real fast there. See little brown bits? That's what we get for leaving it alone for 1 second. All right, let's go ahead and get our mushrooms going in there. Another thing you could absolutely add if you'd like would be some garlic. Since we're using shallots today, we're gonna get, you know, like some of that flavor anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. And if your mushrooms look dry, because they will probably absorb some of that oil pretty quickly, you can always add some more oil. But let's let them toast up as is. Look at that, they just totally sucked up every bit of oil in there. On the flip side, usually mushrooms will release some water, so let's let those cook for a minute. Saute your mushies. I think they need more oil, so we'll go ahead and give it a big couple of glugs. So we're gonna saute those up for a little bit, and I'll show you what they look like when I'm happy with them. Okay, so our mushrooms are looking good. We could let them go until they get like super crispy, but I'm pretty happy with this medium ground in terms of how done these mushies are. So we are gonna yet add more oil. Like I was telling you guys, this is health food. We'll let that come up to heat briefly. And then we're gonna toast our rice. And risotto has several kinds of rice you can use, but the most common is arboreal rice. So that's what we'll be using today. It's basically like the risotto rice. So we're gonna add a cup and a half of rice. You can see if you look at the rice, it's a short grain. Kind of looks like there's something on the outside. I don't know. It's good stuff. And this is a very important part of the process, so we're gonna toast the rice in the oil. So basically, for a few minutes, you're just gonna toss this rice around. The oil will coat the rice into individual pieces, and this will start the process of risottifying, which is a word I just made up, the rice. And this is truly a dish where you can't leave it alone ever. You basically have to move things around constantly, which can be pretty killer. You know, if you're trying to multitask making other things, you can't really do that. Not with this one. You basically want to toast about 3 or 4 minutes. So I am going to be flipping it around the pan for the next few minutes. Okay, so it's actually a good idea to do this next step ahead of time, lest you burn your rice. But we need to open a bottle of wine, which is what I'm about to do. We're gonna use white wine. Any white wine is fine. Today we're using Hess Select Chardonnay, which I got for 10 bucks on sale. But any old cooking wine's fine. And we're gonna use about a half cup of that. Stir my shit again. And whenever you open a bottle of wine for cooking, it's very important that you taste it. To make sure, one, that it's not poisoned, and two, that it will go well with this dish. We have not tasted anything in this dish, so let's just make sure. Hey, that's really good. Okay, now that we've toasted our rice and those mushies are looking nice, we go ahead and add that half cup, woo, ow, my hand's steaming, of wine to the rice. And basically you want to cook this just long enough to cook off some of that alcohol. And one of the ways you can tell that it's doing that is the alcohol vapors will smell different when some of that is cooked off. But you can see it'll absorb into the rice really quickly. Okay, so I added a half cup of liquid just right there. And check it out, there's now no liquid at all. It's pretty crazy. And after this, now that we've added the wine, we are gonna start the process of adding the stock, which is in our side pot here. And this is a iterative process. Okay, so it can be tedious. If you don't got good patience, don't make this dish. We're going to add it basically 1 to 2 ladles at a time. Put this warm stock on the side. You add the stock, and then you stir. And you do this over and over until you have risotto. And what you're doing when you add it a little bit at a time, it is going to absorb into the rice to cook it. But as you continually move it, from what I've read, you're actually knocking off some of the starch that is on these individual grains of rice. And as you do that, that's how you get your real creamy sauce. So basically, what we will be doing over and over and over, add some stock, stir it up until it absorbs that stock. And you want to keep it wet, like you don't want it to burn at any point, but this is what we'll be doing for a while. It shouldn't take a horribly long period of time. From what I've read, it's like, you know, maybe 20 minutes, but it'll depend. It'll vary a little bit. And there's also some personal preference as well. So we'll see how creamy it gets over time as we continue to cook it down. We may not use all of that stock, but I recommend having 6 to 8 cups of stock on the side to be ready for this. You can see I have enough stock in there that's gonna take a brief minute to absorb that. So I will be stirring this. We'll keep updating you as we go through the process. We'll have a small pause for now at least. It's risotto. Cool. So it's been 15 minutes and we've worked through quite a bit of our stock. And what you can see is the rice has expanded considerably and we're starting to build up kind of a creamy sauce. But I just tasted the rice. It's not cooked yet. It's not hard crunchy, but it's definitely not done. So I just wanted to give you an update to show you, like, look how much the volume has increased as we continue to add stock. It's a little bit at a time. I would say that we're definitely more than halfway there, but I have literally been stirring this the whole time. So, before you make this, just bear that in mind. If you like making roux for gumbo, this dish is for you. We'll be back. I'm just gonna keep going. Hell yeah. Roll Tide. No, I don't mean that. Okay, in my opinion, this risotto is done. In terms of absorbing the stock, so we have a nice creamy texture. The rice has just a little bit of a bite to it. So if we keep cooking it from here and keep adding stock, it's just gonna get soft and like almost porridge-like. But we still have some distinct rice here. And so that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. In terms of stock, it took us about 25 minutes. And almost to a T, we almost used a quart and a half of stock. Looks like I added a little bit more, so I'm very, very happy with where this is at. Tastes good, looks good. And so, at this point, we get to add the Parmesan. And that's what really takes this from, just like, soggy rice into something that is cheese and rice. We're gonna add about a cup of Parmesan. This is powdered Parm. If you wanna do the fresh ground, you wanna grate it yourself, go right ahead, be my guest. Well, that's not how we do it here. And because this is fancy, put your cheese hat on to make everyone happy. We're gonna add 1 cup of this Parm to that rice. Check this out, when you mix it all together, that just went from rice into something nice. And what we're left with is risotto. It looks awesome. I think we did a nice job. Very, very thick, very, very creamy, just like everyone's mother here. All right, I regret saying that. If you want to make it look nicer, you can top it with other things. So we are gonna fine mince some parsley. You could skip this step entirely if you'd like, but if you serve someone a plate of something that is only brown, it never hurts to add a little greenery on top. So you can add fancy oils on top, but remember that it's already a pretty heavy dish. So don't go too crazy with that. Another thing that's also very common is to have asparagus. I might do that real quick, but maybe not. Time to plate up that risotto. Looking pretty good, to be honest. Plating risotto can be a little tricky because if you really pack it down, it's gonna look awful. I'm 100% serious when I say that. Like if you take a spoon and just go, it's gonna look like some wonky ass porridge. I'm sauteing some asparagus. Asparagus. Okay, so here's our plated risotto. And to this, you can see, it's a pile of rice. Parsley goes a long way here. Just give it some kind of fucking green, You know what I'm saying? Some green, some greenery. It just needs it. But you know what it needs even more is more cheese. So let's finish that with the Parmesan dusting. And you can do this however you like. Today we'll do it this way. John's laughing because only part of it ended up on the plate. But that is part of the presentation. Look at this risotto. It looks really good. Now if you add some oil, you just drizzle it over the top. But I'm telling you, that's a big pile of creamy carbs. You don't need to put oil on it. You can salt it. I forgot to do that. Probably does need salt. And then of course some black pepper would be nice as well. And there is our risotto. You can see how we presented it. You add some chicken, piece of fish, you just put it right on top of there. But I think it stands on its own, it looks good. All right, here's our taste test for the risotto. It's really, really good. I think we really did a nice job. This is not too rich for me, which I'm happy about because, it could have been. But I really think that it benefited from trying to seek more of an al dente texture on the rice, where there's still some bite and chew to it. But, ultimately this tastes like chicken and cheese, which is a winning combination. I mean, it's really, really yummy. Because it is so savory and so creamy, I would want to pair this with something acidic. So that is the flavor that's kind of missing from this. You get just a tiny bit from the wine we put in it, but this is great. This is really yummy. Was it worth the effort? I would say if you're trying to impress someone. If you want to show someone you're good at cooking, this actually would probably be a nice way to do it. I'm not really looking forward to eating only this as a meal, so I probably will eat something else later tonight. But if this is in your purview of your diet, you could eat it on its own. It's really good. So that's how you do it. That's how we did it today. Yeah, risotto. Any other thoughts? I don't have any other thoughts. I'm just gonna eat a pile of this. Yummy food. All right, well, see you later.